Well, so we were at the airport, and then, you know, went to go meet up with Chris at the sheriff's office, and then went back to the airport. Met up with Chris, you know, signed our paperwork in the beginning.
2 pins.
Went back to the airport and then hooked up with Rick and
Lee Majors.
You want to talk? Lee Majors. Okay, cool.
And got the rundown of the safety of the helicopter and everything.
Cute little headset. Put it down in front of your mouth, get it moved back. We wash these once or twice a year so they're clean-ish. Put it on your head and it adjusts this way too so that it fits you nice, and this is on your head. Move this up as close as you can to your lips, like that. If you got it stuck out there, then we're not going to hear you. It's just so much noise moving around. So everything here moves.
And then we each got little Ziploc plastic bags just in case we got sick. And at that point in time, I was like,
see-through too.
I didn't really think about that. I really didn't think about
when we were
getting sick,
scarfing our
yeah, that too,
stuffing our face.
Careful focusing too long, because with the vibration, it will make you send supper out.
We have supper bags. We have to-go bags.
We have to-go bags because...
John, can you get some to-go bags for us, please?
No.
Those pilots, I mean, they've been doing this for a long time. I know Rick, they were talking about he flew in, you know, the Gulf War and all that stuff, and it's amazing, you know, they got that military haircut, you know, buzz cut and all that stuff, and they're all like, you know, looking official, not cracking smiles, you know, it took a lot of work to get them to smile. But they were some of the nice, they were willing to do anything. They were like, hey, you know, you want to go up take pictures of us? We'll take pictures of you. It's okay. So, I mean, they're out there with their spotlight on us, taking pictures of us, except that their camera actually didn't work.
What you guys do on a regular basis, we don't care about, you know, the fancy stuff. If we could get the fancy stuff, that's great, but we're not focusing primarily on that.
The neat part is when the helicopter goes up, until they're subject to call, they're flying, doing patrol up in the air, so we will get to see all the neat stuff. And I'm going to tell you, Tallahassee's not too big, so when you go up, you see everything.
Right.
We had some of the greatest shots. Beautiful night, no weather. You know, it was clear. It was beautiful.
It was rather warm too, which made it nice. Being up in the helicopter, we probably could have been pretty chilly.
Yeah, we got back down and it was cold.
Yeah, I kept, you know, I pretty much had the window open the whole time just so I could stick my camera out and take pictures. And I mean, I took a bunch.
I was waiting for you to drop that thing.
I was shocked, absolutely shocked, at when, you know, they had brought up the second helicopter just so I could get shots of that helicopter above Tallahassee. And they were able to maneuver their helicopters so close to one another that my flash actually reached the other helicopter and it lit it up beautifully, amazingly. And I was like, wow, you guys really, you know how to fly if you can get that close to one another.
Went off to pick up hockey game at Skate World. It's inline skating. It's a bunch of transplants that miss actually ice skating and playing hockey. And so it's a lot of college students, kids from up north, and they've been going over to Skate World and having hockey. They had one goalie. They didn't get another goalie. I don't know if they don't have pads or they don't have another goalie. So anybody want to play goalie? So I couldn't figure it out, but they were switching. He would stay at one goal for about 10 goals and then switch sides and go back to the other side. But the problem there was shooting was that, in a regular hockey rink, there's plexiglass around the fans to save them from the puck flying up. This one, there's nothing. It's a skating rink, so there's, a 3-inch drop off, and that's it. They had a net up for one end so they wouldn't hit the administration offices if they're shooting goals on the one side. But when you're just walking around, there's a chance you can get hit. The puck's flying off all the time. So it was a lot of times I would get my settings right and sort of hold the camera away from my eyes so I could see, when the action's coming closer, I could shoot without having my eye up to the viewfinder, because you can't really see if you're going to get hit by the puck or not. So I wanted to save the camera. Really, I would get hit, but I want to save the camera.
I was familiar with them. I had taken my cat there several years ago, and they were wonderful. They had 2 technicians working that night, and probably taking care of, I would say, up to 15 to 20 animals, mostly cats. There were 2 or 3 dogs. They showed me an x-ray of a cat that had been shot in the leg that they were nursing, and then the one that was probably the most touching was a large dog, and I think it was a lab mix, and he was just on the floor and not in a cage, but he had been hit by a car, and his owner didn't have enough money to afford the medical care, so they agreed to take the dog in and then patch it up and get him better, and then adopt him out. So they were really fostering him until he got better. And the dog was nervous about his paws. Whenever they touched his paws, or they would grab his paws just to hold him, he would bite them, and one of the technicians had a lot of bite marks on her arms, and she just kind of laughed it off like it's an everyday thing. And so that was a cool thing to do. And a guy from St. Francis of Assisi came in with, I think he had a hawk and some kind of sparrow, and that had been hit by a car, and so he helped nurse them back to health. And they had a ferret, they had like a small iguana in there, so all kinds of stuff that they take care of.
Next shoot was the Miracle 5 Theater, and we got to go upstairs into their actual projection booth, and the whole night was really fascinating. Learned a whole bunch of stuff, and this one learned that movies are not vertical. The reels aren't vertical, they're horizontal, and there's no switching out of the film during the movie.
This movie right here is the king.
Oh, okay.
What I'm messing up here is awesome. Like from the top platter. Just the diagram which shows the big.
So what they do is they actually get in these boxes of films, probably in 4 pieces, and they spend one of the nights, if it was a Tuesday or Thursday night, splicing together the film into one big piece, and then they watch the film all the way through, and then before they send it back, they have to break it back down. And that night that we were there, they had a bulb that was burned out on one of the projectors, and so we got to see them replace that. When they said they were putting on the visors to protect their faces and gloves, and right in there shooting, and asking them if, should I be concerned about anything here? They said actually the bulbs do explode sometimes, so that's why they were wearing glass visors and gloves. So I shot a little bit from the other side, and that was the end of that.
The shelter was tough because it was right around lights out time whenever we got there, so the interesting thing was the dining area is just covered in guys just sleeping under the tables and sleeping bags. But they were all ready to go to bed whenever we got there. So we did some overall room shots. We went into the bunk area a little bit and talked to some guys.
Very crowded place. There's really no room to stand around and act like a reporter. I mean, everybody who's there is there for more or less a reason. The people who work there are performing specific tasks like checking people in, filling out paperwork, assigning places to sleep, handing out, mats or sleeping bags or whatever, and then they bed everybody down. There's certain rules everybody has to follow, and that the day before we went to scope the place out, they nearly kicked somebody out for having a bagel. Yeah. Remember that?
He was eating when nobody else had food, and so that was against the rules. It's kind of hard photographing homeless people because, as you can probably understand, they don't typically want to be photographed, and shown their predicament that they're currently in. So it's kind of tough to break the ice. Like when I was doing the room shots, some of the guys that were in the back behind stuff that weren't even in the image were not happy that I was there with the camera. But once you can break through with one person and get them to say, yes, you can take my picture, then typically that breaks the ice, and then they're more willing to be photographed.
It was pretty much like in a residential neighborhood, and the radio station itself had other radio stations, but it was in a house, so we felt like we were lost.
Well, the DJ's not here. This is just a board operator. They're out at Floyd's, and not so much.
We pressed that button and rang that bell, and I didn't think anybody was going to come out. But finally, Mr. Mike Lombardi, the board operator at night, came to greet us, and we were serenaded by Beyonce back into the control room, where not much was happening because apparently nowadays it's all done by computer.
Yeah, basically the learning experience with that one was everything is done by the right software. So if you want to learn how to, keep the radio station going, you just got to learn the software.